There's a lot of flailing around and making a mess in this movie. I'm SirDinosaur from Planet X, and now it's time for a movie review. So we start with an old-timey video about a hunter going to Peru and meeting some nice bears and hanging out with them. He becomes friends with the bears since apparently they can talk. Just so you know, in case it wasn't clear, bears on Earth can't usually talk. This must be a special kind of bear. Usually it's not a good idea to walk up to a bear and say hi. That's a pretty easy way to get got. So don't try this at home. But in this movie, we see a bear hanging out with his mom and dad, and they've got like a regular house with lots of like books and mechanical stuff, and these bears can cook, and they're not your average bears. Apparently, these bears really like marmalade. But then there's an earthquake, and the dad bear is killed. Oh no! The mama bear tells the kid bear, hey, I'm old, and I gotta go to the bear old folks home, but you should go to London and explore. I wonder if she's been to London before. I don't think there are a whole lot of talking bears there. I hear it's a cool place though with a lot of different kinds of people. Could be that this kid bear makes some friends eventually. It might take a while though, since usually humans' response to seeing a bear is to go like, ah, it's a bear, instead of trying to say hi and welcome to the neighborhood. So the bear sneaks on a boat and hides in a pile of mail, and that pile of mail is put in a bag and brought to the train station called Paddington. Ooh, that's the name of the movie. The bear looks around and asks where he can find a home, but all the British people there are too busy getting on the train to pay any attention to him. So the bear's just chilling at the train station in front of the lost and found, but then he sees a pigeon and the pigeon looks hungry. So the bear starts offering a marmalade sandwich to the pigeon, but then all of a sudden there's a lot of pigeons there wanting free food. I think there's a life lesson there. A family of 4 passes by, a mom named Mary and a dad named Henry and a teenage girl named Judy and a boy named Jonathan, who's the younger brother. Henry's like, oh, don't talk to the bear, he's probably trying to sell us something. But Mary's like, oh, look, a talking bear. So the family buys him some food, and Mary's like, hey, let's just help him for one night before we find him a place to live. And Henry gives that look like, oh boy, here we go. Now our house just got a new pet for a decade plus. None of them can say the bear's name because it's like a specific type of roar, so they decide to name him Paddington since they found him at that train station. They bring him to London, and there's a fun song as they arrive, but of course when they get there it's raining like crazy. They meet the housekeeper, Mrs. Bird, and Henry starts making phone calls about who can take the bear off his hands, while Paddington gets himself in a lot of trouble immediately since he doesn't know how anything works. He accidentally causes a flood, and Henry gets mad and doesn't believe his story since there's no record of the British explorer in Peru. Mary believes him though. Jonathan is like a boy, and Judy is like a teenage girl who won't bring her new boyfriend home since she thinks her family is embarrassing. Then we see a guy bringing an animal to a lady who's a taxidermist lady named Millicent. She's got a lot of animal heads mounted on walls and stuff. I get this feeling like she's going to be the villain of the movie and she's going to try to get Paddington. Ooh, the evil taxidermist lady has a photo of the explorer with bears. Okay, yeah, she's the villain of the movie. On their way out the next morning, the family sees a grumpy neighbor named Mr. Curry. Judy tells Jonathan, hey dude, don't tell anyone at school that our family has a talking bear since they already think we're a bunch of weirdos. I think everyone's gonna know after like a day or two tops that you guys have a talking bear. So Mary takes Paddington to an antique shop owner named Samuel Gruber to see if he can tell her anything about Paddington's explorer hat. Paddington sees a shifty-looking guy and says, hey, you dropped your wallet, and goes to give the guy his wallet back, so the bear and the shady guy get into a wacky chase all over town. Paddington finds the man and discovers that he's a thief, and the police take him away. The arrest happens right in front of Judy's school, and her classmates think Paddington is cool, so she starts to change her attitude. Samuel Gruber says that the hat came from a place called the Geographer's Guild, so they decide to go there and see what's up. Next, Millicent sneaks into the security station and sees Paddington in a car. She's going to try to get Paddington. Meanwhile, Henry is upset that they were supposed to have Paddington for just one night, and instead it's becoming a whole thing. But Jonathan and Judy like Paddington, and Mary does too, so I think Henry's going to be outvoted. Sure enough, Henry and Mary see Judy and Jonathan getting along and having fun and taking care of Paddington, so Henry comes around and decides to help. Millicent tracks down Paddington, and she's stalking the bear at the house from a phone booth. So Mr. Curry is like, hey, you've been using the phone for 47 minutes. Like, how much time do you need for crying out loud? But she turns around and he thinks she's pretty, so they team up. Uh-oh. Henry and Paddington go to the Geographer's Guild, but the lady at the front desk is kind of rude and says there's no record of the geographers ever going to Peru, so go away. Paddington's like, yo, Henry, I think there's some shenanigans going on here, so we gotta sneak upstairs and search around and find out why there's no record of this. They go upstairs, and Henry throws together a disguise as a cleaning lady, and the security guy on the upper floor flirts with him in a creepy way. Yuck. So Paddington and Henry get the tape of the explorer, whose name is Montgomery Clyde. Then Millicent tries to break in and kidnap Paddington by being lowered in from the roof on a cable, like in a Mission Impossible movie. But Paddington is all bumbling and chaotic per usual, so he accidentally causes a house fire, and Millicent runs away. The house is okay, and nobody was hurt, but nobody believes Paddington's version of events since Millicent had a mask on, and Paddington thought she was like an elephant or a snake or something. Henry's like, hey, this is the last straw, because Paddington created a safety issue, and so Paddington leaves and he's homeless. Oh no. So Paddington goes all over London looking for people listed as M. Clyde in the phone book, since the explorer was named Montgomery Clyde. Eventually he finds that Millicent is Millicent Clyde, so M. Clyde, so he went to the villain's house by mistake. So she puts him in a van that says taxi when the doors open, but taxidermist when you close it. Mr. Curry shows up with some dead flowers and he's like, hey, what the heck are you doing with that bear? And Millicent's like, moo-ha-ha, bye. And so Mr. Curry realizes that he was helping the villain, and he calls Henry and tells him what's going on. So Henry and the family go to rescue Paddington. Millicent gives Paddington a villain speech about how all the explorers got credit because they brought animals back from the lands they found. But Montgomery was like, nah, these bears are cool. I can't take them away from their home. So when he told the Geographers Guild about his discoveries, they didn't believe him, and they deleted the records of him going there. So Millicent wants to make Paddington a taxidermy thing so she can prove her dad went to Peru and restore his legacy. I think Montgomery would be pretty upset if he knew his daughter was trying to murder the bear that was his friend's kid. There's a lot of running around and some peril, but Henry and the family save Paddington. Millicent confronts them on the roof with a gun, but Henry says once and for all that Paddington is part of the family now and they love him, so Millicent can shove it. Millicent is like, okay, cool, whatever, I'm still gonna shoot you. But Paddington thinks fast and says, hey, before you kill me, can I have a marmalade sandwich? And Millicent's like, okay, sure. So Paddington throws his marmalade sandwich at her, and a bunch of pigeons attack, distracting her. It looks like that won't work, but Mrs. Bird suddenly opens a hatch and smacks Millicent off the roof. Millicent is stuck hanging on a flagpole. Apparently Mrs. Bird is properly sloshed and didn't even realize she defeated the villain. Then there's a lot of epilogue stuff. We get some nice parts with Henry bonding with Jonathan and Judy having her boyfriend over, and even though Mary embarrasses her, Judy's like, yeah, she's embarrassing sometimes, but I love my mom. Also, there's a funny bit where Millicent gets sentenced to community service at a petting zoo, which is fitting, I think. Since she tried to kill an animal, her punishment is to clean up animal poop all day. There's a really funny part where she's shoveling poop and there's a monkey in a bulldozer and it pulls a lever and dumps out a lot of animal poop on Millicent's head. Haha. Paddington's happy to have a new home with the family, and we see his mama bear reading his letters about how he's having a good time in London. This is a nice movie that's good for kids because it's about an animal bringing a family closer together and teaching them all to be responsible, understanding, and proud of each other. I'm excited to see the Paddington 2 movie and also the new one where they go to Peru.